This is Car Con Carne, the podcast named Best Music Podcast in Chicago, according to the Chicago Reader. Best of 2022 issue. Came out just last month. I'm James Van Osdell, and this podcast exists largely thanks to the participation, the partnership, the kindness of local Chicago area businesses. This episode brought to you by Suburban Roofing and Siding. So, winter, I think, is over. I always say that cautiously in May in the Midwest, because you just never know. But winter's over. Spring is really here. I can smell lilacs right outside my car. If you are a homeowner, now's the time to see if storms took their toll over the past season. And if you think you took any damage to your house because of storms, hail, whatever, you need to talk to my guys at Suburban Roofing and Siding before you talk to the insurance company. Let them assess any damages you may have, and they can walk you through the steps of a claim hassle-free. They're an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating, and all their contractors are licensed, bonded, and insured. They also use the highest quality materials available at no additional charge to you. That's no additional charge to you, boys and girls. Suburban Roofing and Siding. I would love to tell you the phone number. My fingers cannot manipulate the sheets of paper in front of me. 224-677-6149. 224-677-6149. Or visit them at suburbanroofingandsiding.com.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's meet in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osdell.
My guests, they're all right. They're okay. We wouldn't have them any other way. It is the guitar gods of Ugly Kid Joe. To my right, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, that's Klaus Eichstadt. And in the back seat, it is Dave Fortman. They make up the guitar menace, the guitar ferocity of Ugly Kid Joe. First ever U.S. tour in 27 years. That doesn't sound right. That can't possibly be right.
It's dead on.
Accurate.
It's very accurate. It's like crazy. One big deja vu everywhere we go. It's like, we've done this before, but it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You know?
What was it, Minister Sobriety Tour we came through all these places? I think so.
Yeah.
It was that long ago, like 95, I think it was.
95 or 96.
Somewhere around there.
Something like that.
I mean, you've been back together for 13 years.
Yeah. Longer than the first time.
Right, exactly.
Which
It's
is
just
also weird.
so. I mean, the obvious question is, what took you so long?
For America?
Yeah.
Oh, no, for to get back together.
Well, no, we'll cover that.
Oh,
We'll cover that.
I
hiatus,
got
but-
you.
Well, I was going to
yeah.
elaborate on the thing not being in the States. I'm not real 100% sure what the deal was.
I think just initially when we reunited, we did the EP, Stairway to Hell, and we started putting the feelers out, Whit in particular, because I didn't even know if we were going to tour, me personally. And Whit and I we were like, let's do this record with Dave and Shannon and Cordell. And anyway, so Whit was kind of like putting out the feelers, and we just started getting some offers from Europe, and we went there, and it was amazing, and it kept rolling, and we ended up going to Brazil, we ended up going to Australia, and the U.S. just never materialized, because to tour the U.S., as you can imagine, it's a huge country, and you really have to string together a lot of gigs. Like, you can go tour Europe for 2 weeks,
Right.
because everything's close together, and you can find a market that you're doing good in, but the U.S. is so big.
Yeah, the second you go west of the Mississippi,
It's long distances, and you really have to have a bus or like a good van situation. You got to get hotels. It's just a lot of infrastructure, I guess is the word. Maybe, I don't know. To tour the U.S., it's a lot. Like I said, we go doing festivals in Europe. We got some gigs with festivals. We do clubs in between the weekends, and we could string together these little 2, 3, 4 week tours. But U.S. is like this big commitment, and it just didn't materialize until now. And
well, welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
Thanks.
It is great to have you back.
That's a good explanation, Klaus.
That was really well
Or was
done.
that confusing?
Right.
I should mention, we eat food. We usually go to restaurants on this podcast.
rad.
So I brought Vietnamese food from around the corner from your hotel at an undisclosed location. I can't speak to how good it is. I don't know.
I'll take a bite.
Dude,
I see
Mine's
like
good.
a full bush of cilantro in there.
my spring roll is rad.
You have the cutest little spring rolls back there.
Plural, yeah. Spring rolls.
Yes. A whole styrofoam bucket of them.
It's great.
Super
Is it good? Fried tofu? Yeah.
Tofu banh mi, Vietnamese style. They,
I got the same thing you got.
the story. The French went to Vietnam, colonized it, and introduced him to French bread. Hence, we have the banh mi sandwich.
I love getting a little history with the interview.
Yeah.
That's delightful. You mentioned
Coffee, too. Really good. Vietnamese
really good.
coffee was also, I think the French brought coffee. And they took it and put their spin on it.
You mentioned Whitfield
Yeah.
Crane. Do you think we're outside your hotel. Do you think he's looking out the window saying, my God, now we're doing interviews in cars. What's happened to this band?
He's probably like, wow, I'm so jealous of them getting to do that interview in a car.
That's right. He's probably thinking,
parking lot.
hey, I'm not getting fed.
Yeah, he's...
I got to per diem this shit.
Yeah. We're saving our $20.
That's right. That's right. I'm here to help you guys. So you are on the road. As by the time this is published, it'll be too late for the Arcada show in St. Charles, where you're playing with Fozzy. How does it feel to be back? How does it feel to be touring with Fozzy? How does it feel to just be Ugly Kid Joe in the States again?
Well, the States, it feels like it did. It's like right in between America's Least Wanted tour and then, of course, the last one was like Menace. But it's the same kind of vibe because there's so many of the people in the audience that are America's Least Wanted fans. And so they're singing, they're singing most of the songs. But my test every night, as soon as we hit the, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, boom, won't you be my neighbor? And then people screaming. I'm like, all right, it's on.
It's on.
It's fucking happening. Yeah. And so, I've always loved touring the States. And this is the same feeling we've had in the past. Killer audiences, man.
And you're all getting along.
Great.
Yeah. We're doing it sober.
That makes a big difference.
It's just an experiment. We've never, the three of us, me, Whit, and Klaus, have never done a sober tour together. Whit's done them on his own, but I don't think me and Klaus have ever done one.
Yeah, no.
Like,
Well, we've
even
always,
on
it's like one guy'd be sober and the other two wouldn't be, and vice versa. It'd be like, it's always some, but we never all three, and never aligned.
Well, me, I've
until
never
now.
done one, period.
And we're like going to the
But
gym
this is
every
my
day now. I'm
yeah.
doing squats in the parking lot. Dave's doing little sprints.
I'm sprinting around.
Whit's in the gym at the
Getting
hotel.
silly.
It's
Dave, you look
kind of
like
rad.
you're in workout gear. It looks like you're ready to bust out into a sprint.
Yeah, I have that Rocky Balboa kind of hoodie going on,
For people that
Or
don't
a
know, we
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
park in like parking lots of hotels because your driver it has to have a hotel room every night. That's part of the deal when you get a bus.
Well, you want him to be alert and awake
yeah, exactly.
to the road.
Because he drives at night, so we park in a hotel, and so we basically live in the parking lot of a hotel for. Well, today's a day off. That's
Like hookers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like.
I didn't think about that.
hookers at a hotel.
I guess so, but so the people that work here are probably like, what the hell? There's this guy, this middle-aged man running back and forth. There's another dude doing squats in the field in front of the. It's like, what is this? And it's a rock band. And
It's a rock band.
It's a middle-aged rock band.
Yeah, I look
touring.
the weirdest because I like to do sprints.
you
I have
do
this
look the
weird
weirdest.
thing. I feel young when I do sprints because I always want to know that I can get up to full speed. But 2 hotels ago, I wasn't looking, and so I'm sprinting at this car full blast, and then this guy's looking at me like, and I looked up, I'm like, whoa, Jesus! It was some dude looking at me like I'd lost my mind.
Like you were charging him.
It was
like you were
exactly
gonna carjack
like,
him.
yeah, it was like just like this little part right here where you pull out, and the guy was sitting there waiting on me to run right into him, and I was coming at him full blast.
I was going to go in order from most recent to least recent. You mentioned America's Least Wanted. I guess we can start there because you just talked about how you're on the road, you're sober now. It's really hard for any band to have that much happen that quickly out of the gate and have them maintain any sense of normalcy, balance, adult life.
Excuse me.
Was that the case with Ugly Kid Joe? I mean, because you exploded out of the gate.
It was weird. Here we are, basically a garage band playing keg parties and small clubs, and some frat parties, things like that. We're in a college town, Alta Vista, California, and we, the first tour we get a Winnebago. And it shows up. Label's giving us some money to do a tour. Excuse me. The first show I think was in Portland, Oregon, I think, and like 8 people showed up, maybe, and then maybe a few more in Seattle, and by the time we hit, I think the Midwest actually is when Everything About You started getting played, and it was just weird. Like all of a sudden, they're packed out, like almost like kind of overnight. I mean, I would say that
it was 0 to 60.
Yeah, it was a trip. And but we were still, in a Winnebago. We didn't have any money. We were just young. Luckily, we were very young at the time, 23 to 25, I think. And so we were, sleeping like in Willy Wonka, where the grandparents sleep with, head to feet, to head to feet in this
Sweet.
Winnebago. And, everything was just exciting and fun. Omaha, Nebraska was exciting because we're like, oh, Mutual of Omaha. And, everything we've always heard about, these cities you've always heard about a million times, TV shows or whatever. There you are, and you're playing, and it's weird, playing in your band, and it's doing what you did always in the clubs or at the frat parties or the beach parties and whatever we did, houses at the beach and stuff. Back in California, it was the same thing, but in somewhere else, in some snow outside. But so and then you start getting people asking for autographs and all this stuff, and it did happen really fast. And I think we did kind of lose it a little bit. We probably.
How could you not? I mean, really, objectively, I don't know how you can have all that happen at that age, 23, 24 years old, and maintain it much perspective at all.
I mean, plus you've got this. It's insane high, and especially when you start playing completely sold out venues, and the crowd is literally yelling the songs back to you. Going from just playing, like I said, a backyard party where people are just partying and you're the band, the entertainment, to they're actually here. This is the show, and it's you, and you get really a lot of adrenaline, obviously, and of course we had cases of beer on the rider at the time, so probably that's one of, luckily we're young, and you kind of going to come down from that, so you start drinking a little more than you should. The next thing you know, it's a whirlwind. It became like this 2-year tornado, hurricane.
We took off. It's the mayhem of, I got in the band, then the first show I ever played was it was on MTV's first movie awards. It was my first performance with the band. Then that started.
You jumped on a speeding train.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then in the first tour we did, we went right into an arena in Portland with Ozzy Osbourne, and we did that tour. Then it went literally for 2 years, all over the place, all over the world. And then me and Klaus had some normalcy by coming back to Santa Barbara. Both got each of us got a house, and then put a little studio in there. We started writing for Menace. So that was sort of the break where we were
Finally,
able to chill for a second back in Santa Barbara and be like, all right.
But it was a
but
solid
man,
2
you talk
years.
about 2 years of absolute radness. That's what I'll call it.
Yeah,
It was
around the
amazing,
world.
man. There's so many.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. We played the Australian Music Awards with Bon Jovi and all kinds, just badass things that were just monumental in our lives, man. And those 2 years were probably and that's we were in a tornado of being young, and we were nuts, man. We were like 24, and I think I turned 25 maybe on that year. I forget how old I was.
Yeah.
But when I turned 25, I went out for a nice dinner with my parents.
Yeah, sounds wild, bro. Fuck yeah.
So that tour, that Ozzy tour, that was the No More Tears tour. That was
it was incredible.
Stratospheric level heights.
Yep.
I know you're all fans of Ozzy.
Oh yeah.
That tour must have been special for a million different reasons. Did you ever get to the point on that tour where Ozzy went from being hero to peer, colleague, mentor, any of those things? Or was he always just rock god Ozzy Osbourne?
Well, we didn't. I met him once. Whit actually got to be really tight with him, and even years later, Whit and Klaus took Jack and Kelly to Disneyland, didn't you, one time?
Yeah.
Without the parents when they were like, I don't know how old they were. They were probably
Great America. I don't know. It was one of the
they
two.
were young.
Magic Mountain. We took them to Magic Mountain.
Magic Mountain, yeah.
Yeah. When they were little kids.
Whit's done. To add some stories in there, I think didn't he go like dirt bike riding with Ozzy in England?
I think so. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
the two of them on dirt bikes, that kind of stuff.
That's fantastic.
And so Whit's always had that kind of relationship with the English rock gods, and he's still to this day tight with Rob Halford, and he was really
Glenn
great
Tipton.
and tight with Lemmy.
Yeah,
and would go take long stretches on the tour bus with him, And to answer the question, no, but I don't know about you, Ike, but I just met Ozzy one time, but so he remained to be just the rock icon, because we'd see him every night, go on stage, and we'd be like, wow, we're watching fucking Ozzy.
He was pretty elusive on the tour.
Yeah. And
but he did make his appearances, and he was hilarious. And the thing that, obviously huge Ozzy fans, but not only that, we were huge Zakk Wylde fans. Sure. And Zakk would literally come onto our bus before every single show and hang out for 30 minutes, just drinking his Budweiser, just...
And as a guitarist, I'm sure you're nerding out a little bit.
Yeah, and he actually became kind of just a buddy. We'd just talk about sports and stuff.
Pretty close
but,
to us at the time,
he's, to this day, one of my, I've always idolized him. And we play with him all the time, believe it or not, over the last 10 years, because Black Label Society's been touring Europe like crazy. And we've crossed paths at least 5 or 6 times, if not more, with Black Label Society doing the same festival. In fact, the last time we were in Europe, we just played like a few shows with him in Sweden and a couple other places. And, he's still, he rips.
We had,
how good he is.
At the end of the Mayhem, which would be right all the way into, I don't know the exact days, but I think it was spilled into 94, but we had gone on this incredible 79 show journey with Def Leppard. And it went from Sweden, and then we did all of Europe, and then we came to America, did Sheds, and that lasted a long time. Now, those guys, now we became one-on-one friends with those dudes, and it was incredible. It really
I'm
was,
imagining being a young band going on the road with Def Leppard at that period of time. That'd be a good time to be a single guy in a band.
Yeah, with the most cush hours. I mean, we were what, a 45-minute set. We'd have to show up at what, 4:30 for sound check, and then we're off by 8 p.m. Man, we have all that time with catering, and that was like the final run of all the.
I think what you're getting to is that legendary story about Def Leppard in the round, right? They didn't have that with us. They had their wives on tour with us.
Okay.
Yeah,
there was none of that.
Yeah,
we got them right after that.
Okay.
But I remember that story. Right, with the girl. This is apparently they'd have like these parties under the stage,
Right.
yeah.
and the girls would be topless.
We missed all that.
Yeah.
We missed that.
I have no doubt you still had your fun.
Oh yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah. You mentioned Halford, who's on the first album. The new album I want to talk about, Rad Wings of Destiny. The love for Halford continues all the way to the title. By the way, Ugly Kid Joe has always been a band that sounds like they're having a shitload of fun. Serious musicians, serious songwriting, but you have a great sense of humor too. I mean, the album titles.
Thank you.
I mean that. Let's talk about a couple of the songs. It opens with the song that you're opening the tour with.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You're opening with "That Ain't Livin'." I'm talking to the right guys for this because this is a total guitar song.
Actually, Whit wrote the riff
Wrote it with his mouth.
Really?
with his mouth.
Yeah, I do the translation for Whit.
Yeah, Whit
come
and
up
his
with the chords.
producer in Dave
Yeah, I
can
just
get.
produce him. I
yeah.
can get it out of him the best out of anybody.
But it's a total Whit
So
mouth
he'll
riff
have
and-
all this stuff in his head. In Portugal, I sat down and went through it. All right, so sing it to me, and I'm starting to figure out where to play it on the guitar and all that.
That's wild. So he hears the riffs in his head and just
This
voices them.
it's a new development in the history of Ugly Kid
Well,
Joe.
God was like that too. The
Oh
song
yeah,
God.
maybe a couple of them, but
Yeah,
now
so
he's
yeah.
got a lot of them. He's got
Yeah.
a ton. We've been writing.
I think he
They're all
secretly,
great.
or
He's
not
got a
even
lot of good
secretly,
stuff
Whit's always wanted to be a guitar player. He even took
Yeah.
guitar lessons the same time I did. We grew up together, and he just doesn't have the patience to practice scales or chords.
But that
So,
that riff in I mean, I don't know about the chorus and stuff. Me and Jeff, Jeff Kern he's a good friend. He plays in the Yellow Cake with Whit. The three of us were in a writing session in Portugal, and that's where it started to be born. And then we, of course, we would get into the mode of writing too many riffs and not completing songs. So I told Whit, all right. So then we were going to hang out in Mallorca, Spain, at this house, and I told Whit, all right, this time we got to actually we get something down, we got to work on it. So That Ain't Living was the first thing. We sat down at the dinner table, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. What's the verse? So let's start making up concepts. And then out spilled his brain, and the lyrics started flowing about the concept of somebody driving in their car going to work. And I said, all right, well, let's keep this going. And then all right, what's the chorus? And then it came to him again. And that was a better way to do it, because we had, I think there's like 90 fucking riffs from Portugal that we only used one, I think, out of maybe two, because they're just pieces. So the approach worked on that. But yeah, that was born out of his brain, man. The concept
I
of
love
it,
that.
yeah, just out of his mouth. Yeah.
A song on the album that I think is kind of an outlier, which I think is really cool, is Drinking and Driving, which is like a front porch. This is like somewhere between the Black Crowes and Led Zeppelin 3, vibe-wise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, Whit's idea in
Yeah.
his mind. He was able to sing me enough to where I could go and structure out a tune from it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
One thing I'll challenge both of you on, the most recent album, it came out end of last year. It's really good. You're only playing 2 songs from it on the road.
We just played the third.
Okay.
And we may play 4 and 5 coming up.
Good.
We're
we might,
learning new ones, so you kind of sneak them in and try them one night, and so we're at 3 now. We definitely know about to know probably 4 and 5, so we might end up doing half the record, which is actually kind of, I mean, well, I guess the EP, we did about half the EP, so.
You know the fans will be there for it. I mean, they'll support you when you play the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, last night was the experiment of doing Dead Friends Play.
Yeah.
And they, you get all self-conscious when you first start. I'm like, oh my God, they hate it. And of course, they cheered very loud.
They cheered.
They did. They cheered.
They cheered.
So
they went, yay!
I guess it went over. But once we finished it and they cheered, I was like, oh, okay. It was pretty cool, I guess.
That's got to feel great. One of the, I think, catchy songs on the album is Not Like the Other.
That's a lot of Whit and Klaus together, kind of doing that back and forth thing.
Again, that's a Whit mouth riff.
Mouth riff.
That was when he had me on the porch
Yep.
at his sister's and was going da da da
Yep.
da da da. So there's a lot of Whit mouth riff in this one. Like I said, he's done it before in the past, but this record, it was Whit mouth riff. He should have called it that, but that would be a dumb name for a title. So
yeah. And I mean, we've heard plenty of covers from you through the years. Very faithful version of Lola.
we usually do them pretty faithfully, right?
Yeah. I mean, Cats in the Cradles.
Yeah, and Motorhead, we did that one too. That was, we try to. I mean, when Whit's singing a song, it instantly becomes Ugly Kid Joe, and then other things here and there. But Lola actually was born interesting. We had another. It was a Jett song we were doing, and we started covering it, and it was just not. We weren't meant to play that one song, and we canned it. But Mark, our producer Mark Dodson, was like, we should do a cover though. It'd be really fun, do an old song or something. And then was it Whit in the bathroom that came out?
Yeah, Whit had gone to the bathroom and Lola was
playing.
on. He came out to sit down and we were eating it. And he's all, I got it, bro.
We do Lola.
Got it. Let's do it.
And then
and I'm like, wow. That's
once he said Lola, I
amazing.
probably hadn't heard that song in 15 years, but every one of us remembers that song so well that we right away were singing it at the table like Lola.
That's perfect. Yeah, I was like, damn,
Lola,
all right.
Lola, and you're like, yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, it has cool tempo changes. Like it has a lot going on.
It's a great, what a
And
great
Whit's vocal
song.
on
What
that
a
one.
neat
I mean,
arrangement
well, in
too.
all of them, obviously, they're really good, but that
he
song
killed that
came
vocal.
out killer.
I mentioned Cats in the Cradle. I was talking with a friend of mine about the fact that we were going to chat later today, and he said, I still tear up when I hear their version of Cats in the Cradle. He's like, their version makes me weepier than when I hear the Harry Chapin version.
That's cool.
Beautiful.
Because that song's, the lyrics are tough on that one.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older and have children. It's
Oh, yeah. For sure.
it's, but that all said, I mean, you really nailed it. And it was a nice balance, especially at the time, for a single.
Yeah.
From you guys. That was like a really appropriate thing to hear.
I mean, that wasn't our idea to even release that as a single. It picked
happened.
up on radio. It happened
It was
by
accident.
itself. We did. I think we released Neighbor and Busy Bee and So Damn Cool, and all of a sudden, it was sort of like it picked itself. Like the radio stations picked it, and the word got back to our label through the
That
radio
was
people
hidden.
saying, "Hey, you guys, such and such is playing it. They're playing it Heavy Spins. It's getting requests. Let's roll with it. Let's make a video. Let's push it." And so we said, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was ready. That was already. We had already probably maybe gone gold at the time, and we were sort of thinking, "Okay, that was that run. The record's run is over. It did okay." And all of a sudden, that song kind of gave it a whole new life. And the next thing you know, we're touring with Def Leppard at the time, and we play that song, and the whole place is singing it with us. And that one, interesting. Recording that song was. Whit's really finicky, like in the studio. Like he's not the guy that likes singing with headphones and the big microphone with the pop screen in an isolated ISO booth in the corner, with a glass. He likes to be in the room with the band, or with a mic that he's holding. No headphones, just it coming in. And producers or engineers hate it because it's like, oh great, we got to and he wants it loud. So now you've got bleed coming in the mic, but. He sings better that way. And interesting enough, for that record, and remember, this is only our second album we've ever done, so we're pretty green. So, now it can sing in front of anything. But back then, he was like, man, I that's a really, like you said, that's a meaningful song. And it's a meaningful song to Whit because he sang it a lot with his sister, when their dad wasn't around a lot. So they sang it a lot when they were little kids. And he'd been singing it as a cover for the band before Ugly Kid Joe and so on and so on. So anyway, the funny thing is he was like, he made me sit in the ISO booth with him with an acoustic, my crappy, old, cheap $200 acoustic, because he didn't want to be alone in the booth, and he just wanted to have to hear the acoustic with him instead of just the tracks. in the can. So I was in there with him. So on that, and that vocal take was the almost, I think, one take for the most part of that song, and my guitar is in the mic of the lead vocal.
wild.
Like if you ISO'd that track, you'd hear my probably pretty sloppy guitar playing for that song, in the background. But that's the track we used because it had it's one of those perfect examples of sometimes, in a studio, it's not the equipment or this and that and that. It is a little bit of a vibe, or a lot of a vibe thing, especially for a singer, but also with, guitars and drums. Like, there's moments when your guitar, you're either in the zone and you're not, and there's something not right, and it could be the temperature, it could be the lighting, it could be people being in a room with you, it could be anything. But this was an interesting one. He just didn't want to be alone, isolated in this booth, separated from the other band members, so to speak. So I got in there with him, and we did it, and Mark was like, damn, he's singing great, let's keep going. And we took a few takes of it, and it worked.
Yeah, when you're in the zone, when someone's in that moment, don't try and
just roll with it. Yeah, roll with it.
Jumping the menace to sobriety, which has been mentioned a couple of times. I was thinking about it this morning. The first word that comes to mind when I think of that album is just heavy.
We went full heavy metal. We went full heavy metal on that one.
Was that a response to the last album? Was that a response to what was going on around you, what you were consuming, who you were hanging out with?
Well, we got Shannon Larkin in the band for one reason, who's a thrash metal, badass rock, I would say. I wouldn't even say rock drummer. It's like heavy metal drummer. Like, he's gnarly, and he joined the band. And I think at that time, I know Whit in particular wanted to make like a Judas Priest record, Motorhead Judas Priest record, right? And so that was actually really cool too. We had a rehearsal place where we could just jam all day, every day. Really for the first time. We've had rehearsal rooms, but they're more like the garage type storage units, that kind of thing. This is a real place where we could just hang out, have a refrigerator. We all had cars at the time. We could drive there at any given time and just jam. And so, we're all dudes that grew up listening to heavy metal, and that's kind of what happened.
I helped break it up with Cloudy Skies.
Yeah.
Something maybe.
Wait, but Candle Song was on that, wasn't it? Which is super mellow.
Yeah,
right?
Candle Song.
Yeah.
Cloudy
No.
Skies.
I'm sorry. Candle Song was the next one. You're right.
Oh, Candle Song's on Menace.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Garth. Yeah.
Then I'm actually right. Yeah.
Since you mentioned growing up with metal, I'm going to ask both of you: what was the first record you bought as a kid?
First record? Wow.
Or,
man.
CD. I'm dating.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have
records.
purchased. I come from older brothers, so I had a 6 years older than me brother. So there records were always around me. But, by the time I could even realize to listen to one, I would just go in his room and start digging through his record collection.
Well, do you remember the
But
first one that made
I got obsessed really young. Obviously, I was a Kiss fan for a while, like every other 7th grade or 6th grade or whatever I was. And then I launched into really getting into guitar, which became Led Zeppelin and the standards, learning, Smoke on the Water and Heart. I was into Heart and all, and then all of a sudden, all of us, Ed came along.
Yeah.
Van
Halen 1.
Was that it for you?
Well, the first record I bought
yeah.
was Aerosmith Rocks, which that was the first record I remember because me and my sister went to the record store together. We had the money and we're buying our first records for ourselves. And I forgot what she got, but we both kind of, because we wanted to get, my sister's 1 year older, so we wanted to get something that we both would like.
Yeah, of course.
So we kind of narrowed it down to these two. I forget what the other record was, but Aerosmith Rocks was my pick. And I still love that record to this day.
I do too. I saw Joe Perry a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And just seeing that dude on stage with his cooler than shit guitars, it almost doesn't matter what he plays. I'm kind of awed just to be in the same space as that guy.
Yeah.
Those are the moments too, like we've been able to do that, where you're in the same space with people that you've seen pictures of a million times, seen on TV, where you're just, it's just so weird, like talking to Eddie Van Halen, who ended up being the nicest guy ever. But there are those moments where like we even got to play was it the movie awards? Where was the one where Michael Jackson actually performed? And we were, there because we were presenting award. It was like the American Music Awards, and Mike Jackson is on the stage, and we're like sitting 5 rows back from Michael Jackson doing a moonwalk. And I remember thinking, like, that's actually him. Like, that's not a machine. Really, that's not a imposter. That's actually Michael Jackson. And it's, Arnold Schwarzenegger was standing right next to me at that same thing in the after show. I'm like, that's Arnold. Like, it's weird, man. Those
I completely
moments
get it.
trip me out.
Every time I've seen the Rolling Stones, I've had those moments. Like, I can't believe I'm seeing those guys singing this song, and I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's weird, man.
Well,
The weight of the history kind
The
of
peak
hits.
of the whole thing, I think I can speak for Klaus as well. For the guitar shred team here, is, I mean, just the unreal run that we had. I think there were 13 shows total. We did a bunch with Bon Jovi in these stadiums over in Europe, right, in 95. But 13 of those shows was us and then Van Halen and then Bon Jovi. So we got to be one-on-one and meet them, And I was hanging out in the dressing room with Eddie and Alex. Eddie once played Mean Street in his underwear to me because I was pretty forward, but they loved us, man. I mean, Ed, he came out and was sitting on my amp and watching the whole band play from the side of the stage. And Whit came over and tapped me on the shoulder. I'm like, holy shit, man. So I think I got down. I was doing Milkman solo or something. I got on my knees and played it for him. And then remember that? He came back and he was like, you guys got to go on tour with me. But, without, of course, it didn't happen. It didn't come to fruition. But that's how close we got with him. And it was the greatest moment in my life, for sure, as to hang out with a hero and have him be so cool. And I went to lunch one time, just me and Ed, man, in the lunch tent, and I realized at that moment, like, holy fuck, he's so famous that every time, I mean, anywhere we'd walk on the way to go to the tent, there's just people looking. Everybody stops and looks because it's Eddie Van Halen, So that's he's been his life, since 78 or whatever year to Running with the Devil and all that hit, Eruption. I mean, that's how that guy lives. And I was like, that was my first glimpse into real stardom, how a person would walk to a lunch tent. I'm like, holy fuck, man. Like, he can't go anywhere without people just going like, whoa, it's Eddie Van Halen, And then we're eating, and I'm like, the whole place is aware that we're obviously eating lunch, But how cool is that for me as a kid that grew up with him?
Yeah.
To sit at a table and eat with that dude, man. Fuck. That was insane.
I mean, you guys are a bunch of music fans making music.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
Oh,
that's all.
Yeah, that's the whole reason. It's not like you pick a major in college and then sort of figure out what you're going to do. It's like you're 13, 14, 15, and you're like, it would be my dream to do that, and these are the people I would dream to meet or play with or have interaction with or do tours with. So it's completely like that. And Eddie, I mean, that's
God.
Obviously. I remember him. He would come in and be warming up, and it was so weird. It was kind of like that Mike Jackson thing where I'm looking at his hands going like, those are the actual hands that did all that shit that I've listened to 80 billion times. Yeah. And there's his hands just warming up. And I'm like, oh my God, those are the fucking hands right in front of me.
And how many young guitar players wish they could warm up like play like he warms up?
Yeah, totally.
And oddly enough, we were such in a cloud of like just heaven on earth that we never got a single picture or anything.
I know.
Right. Well, that was also the time too.
Yeah, the time too. Yeah.
I mean, now we all have cameras in our pockets, but back then, just who has disposable cameras handy or whatever?
Yeah.
No, and
you were living in the moment.
Yeah, boy, if you talk about living in the moment, that was one of them right there.
You talked about how Cats in the Cradle took off thanks to radio. My background is radio. Mm-hmm. Here we are in 2023. I'm doing radio in my car. You're living the independent musician life. Mm-hmm. In this paradigm shift, how does it feel? I mean, obviously, reaching the level of fame you reached is what it is, but how does it feel to be more kind of ground level with your effort and being like having more control, I guess, over what you do?
Well, I think it's obviously there's good and bad. I mean, it's great to have a massive label to front all the money for all this stuff and be able to, push for stuff. But it's also a blessing to not have to answer to them in the sense of, we want you to do stuff you don't really want to do. Obviously, we can do what we actually want to do and what we think would be good for the band. So, yeah, it's got its good and bad sides, obviously.
It's just interesting how dramatically everything has shifted. Like when you guys were coming up, there was kind of a roadmap of how to become successful as a musician.
Demo tape, into the hands, hopefully to a label. Label signs you. They put up the money to do a record. Yeah. And now I don't even know. I mean, TikTok videos and whatever. Like
it was as simple as you really were going and playing in clubs, no matter where you were in the nation or the world. and then hoping that someone would represent you, and then they would go and then shop that through a lawyer or whoever would do it, and then the label would like you and then want to sign you, give you a record deal so you can go, and then hopefully the public would like it. That road, boy, it's a different roadmap now. I mean, wow. Now it's
a
like,
choose your own adventure now.
Yeah, I mean, the outlet of YouTube alone, I mean, it's incredible how much has come through that outlet, man. It's nuts, you know.
Do you guys like doing
bands
videos?
like that, it's crazy.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
not my
like a music
favorite
video?
thing, but it's fun.
What's
Or
that?
just videos in general.
Do you like doing them? Do you like for
Yeah.
the band?
Oh,
Is
making
it-
a music video, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, fuck yeah. I mean, the like in the old days, like it takes a lot. I mean, you have to, you gotta wait and just do take after take, or like Cats was like where it was more of a director's kind of video. So that but you just wait around, like, all right, I gotta okay, it's my turn, okay, and it was super easy. I mean, for the outcome of like how hard is that? Pick up your acoustic and play.
Pretend.
Super easy.
Look
at Wick Crane.
at this weird guy walking by. It's another. They're like, there's this, and then there's these guys. They keep going in and out with getting coffees and
Look at
going
that
back to
guy.
the bus.
He's not even gonna look at you.
He's a
It's like,
handsome
well, he
fella.
doesn't know we're here.
No idea. People
Hey,
are staring.
Is he going to be able to get to sleep tonight? I see he's drinking coffee. I worry that he's not going to get enough.
Oh,
rest.
he'll sleep. Yeah.
Okay. Well rested for the Arcada show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No hangover. We know that.
Yeah.
So we're
Feeling
kind of
good.
bouncing around the history of Ugly Kid Joe. The breakup in the late '90s. What happened?
Okay, 97 we broke up. It was, I can't speak for everybody, but I did sort of just, I guess, actually kind of started the whole thing, right, Dave? It's kind of, right? It was like...
No, yeah, I'll give it to you, the short version, where it's just like, Klaus is the mediator and always has been, because he's the most even-keeled out of us all, and most reasonable. And he's just that type of person, and everybody really trusts him and believes in him. So then when him faltering at all, for me, then in my own mind, for sure, I was like, oh, okay, I'm definitely out too. If Klaus is out, then I'm definitely out. Or if that idea is in his head, I knew that, okay, this is probably where we break up. And I think it was just a general thing where that vibe, would have been a lot. I mean, it could be completely different. It would have been me or Cordell or Shannon even at the moment, but Klaus bailing, because after that many years of touring, and where we were at, and we would have had to have, I believe at the time, I don't know if we even had an offer to get funded to do another record.
It was a
And
weird
also,
time
I think
for music.
I think unanimously, even outside of Klaus saying that, I think there was already sort of that vibe in it.
Yeah. So it
And I
felt
think
like-
Klaus just kind of shined a light on that. And then once we had confirmation from what I consider to be the most trusted band member in the foundation of the whole fucking thing, then it was time to call it a day, right there.
So it wasn't this big acrimonious punches are being thrown.
Oh,
Not
not
at
at all.
all,
We
no.
actually had a little meeting, and then
Yeah,
I
it was
called
cool.
Whit. Whit was in India, and I told him
that
about
was
the
it.
meeting.
Yeah.
And Whit, was totally. I mean, we literally. I was trying to explain. Someone asked me this earlier, and I was like saying, "Yeah, it was really interesting because the band literally broke up, and I teared up a little bit, and we all kind of like nodded our heads, and I guess this is it." And then I remember, the next day we were watching Monday Night Football together. We all lived
Yeah, it was
near each other.
super-
We were
yeah,
all
it was
just stayed
super
friends forever after that,
Yeah,
and
we're all really
we've
tight
never
still.
not been friends. So maybe in a way, I like to look at it like, sure, you can look at it, but maybe we should have stayed together and whatever. But maybe it gave us new life, not only as just friends, but it also gave us got us away from that band thing to whereas now it was fresh again in 2012 to
That
do it
makes
again.
total sense.
Yeah, and it's almost like how like one of my best friends, his sister was married, and the marriage fell apart, and then she got remarried, and that marriage didn't last, and she ended up remarrying her first husband,
That's interesting.
and they've been together ever since. And it was like
Wow.
it was kind of like that. It's like we had this insane run together as kids, basically, and it was it's an experience that no matter what happened or happens after that, when we broke up, we're like we will always have that together, that insane 7 years of just radness. And then we all went our separate ways, had our different lives, and we came back together again. And it's kind of cool. We deja vu, and it's like it sometimes it feels like it hasn't been any time, I have to honestly
That's
say,
awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's weird how it picks
Yeah.
right back up, especially these American shows.
Yeah, it's
I'm
such
having
deja
like
vu here.
flashbacks, man.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And Dave, you're right. Klaus is very even keeled. Like,
No,
there's a perfectly.
There's no
zen
Ugly Kid Joe without Ike in it. He's definitely the glue of the whole thing.
How do you know I'm even keeled? You just
the way you present yourself. The way you present yourself is a very
Give him a half hour. He'll show you better. No, Klaus is a good. He's a good mediator for. He has, especially in the when you're younger, and there's obviously less maturity in the band, and so we kind of needed like to lean on it at time, just to, every time like
lean into it.
Yeah, lean. Klaus, it's. I would always go like, oh, that's a better way to look at it. Once Klaus had a chance to think about something, I still do that. Klaus, that kind of guy. But now it's a lot different. We're adults.
So you're gonna listen to me about the peanut butter, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because he's using like the Jif peanut butter, trying to be all healthy. I'm like, dude, you got to use the 100% natural peanut butter that doesn't have oils and sugar in them, and that you have the kind that the oil separates from the peanuts.
You got to Whole Foods that shit.
Yeah, exactly. You got to if it's not separating on its, if it's not separating, it's not good.
Right.
It's got some shit in it that's
making it all
creamy.
Yeah.
It's spread. Peanut butter spread. You don't want that. You want actual peanut butter.
When I'm looking for a treat, folks, because I like grapes, man, dipped in peanut butter. It tastes like a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
And I do love the all natural with the oil separation and all that. But if you stick it in some Jif, dude, it is on.
Yeah,
it is
gnarly.
Delicious.
Skippy and Jif.
Not the healthiest.
So Rad Wings of Destiny is the latest album. It's really good. Ugly Kid Joe on the road, touring with Fozzy. I think they peel off for a couple days, but you keep the momentum going. I want to ask, before I set you free, this is really hard to eat in the car, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Because earlier I took a bite and then I had to answer a question. I started coughing.
Well, I started to eat. I'm like, there's no way I can do this and on microphone and be effective with my questions.
Crunch.
Yeah, no, it would have been terrible. Before I cut you loose, Dave, since you're here, I want to talk about your side hustle.
Yeah, then I can eat now.
Yeah,
Klaus can eat.
I'm going to turn your mic down so we don't get the full crunch on mic.
I'm starving.
Yeah, so you're just off in the distance.
Can I put this down here and hit a vape real quick? Just two puffs. I'm addicted to this damn thing.
I want you to feel comfortable. Yeah.
You got me locked like a little kid back here.
Oh, shit, that's right. The window doesn't open.
Dad, can I smoke a vape real quick?
No, my car that has 150,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow, nice.
I just do this real quick. It took me 2 seconds. I'll just do that.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese car.
Look at that, right out the window.
It's made in America.
Japanese cars, right?
Yeah, fire away.
Although I hit a pebble on the Kennedy Expressway, you can see it. I'm on borrowed time with that windshield.
No, that's really right. I just thought you put glue on it or something. There's some trick.
I'm sure there's a trick. I'll YouTube
Yeah,
that.
but you got to go do it before it starts running away. Yeah.
Dave, your life as a producer. What I think, you're here as the guitarist of Ugly Kid Joe, but holy shit, the bands and the albums that you worked on are fantastic. I mean,
thank you.
I especially think when you started rising as a producer, you were the right guy at the right time for the right sound. It was the perfect storm of everything. I mean, starting with 12 Stones and
oh, you know the whole run? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the whole it worked out great, man. I mean, what I was able to offer early on got recognized. Mostly the most important man was Alan Meltzer from Wind Up Records.
I was going to say a lot of wind-up stuff.
He was fascinated long before me with producers that could arrange songs and change musical things about people, and me being a songwriter, I happen to be really good at that. And so that's, I spent years just trying to survive and doing bands, and they were just in and out local. And so I wasn't a whole lot real heavy-handed in trying to help people with their music and songs and arrangements. And once I started to do that, which amounted to the 12 Stones guys had come in, and it was just they wanted all the sounds that I was getting for people in Louisiana at the time. I'd gone back home. And so then they got an interest from Alan's label. And so they came back in and said, well, they want it to sound more produced. And I said, well, I got news for you. It's not the sound of it. It's actually they want you to get these songs together. So then we went back in and I reconstructed some of them and cut them down and got them down like that. And so along that journey, there's only one reason I ever got the Evanescence record was because after Jay Baumgartner, me and him both had the same manager, and Jay had heard what I'd been doing in Louisiana, loved it, and wanted to co-produce something with me. So he was hot at the time, so 12 Stones wanted to use him. So he said, well, let's all do it together, and Dave will co-produce. So Boy Sets Fire comes along, a band from Connecticut. And Jay's busy, and so he tells Wind Up, well, how about Dave that did 12 Stones with me, let him do his own thing, I'll executive produce it, I'll go over and watch it across the street. We did it. And then that was the luckiest challenge I've ever gotten, because they had these giant songs. I mean, they're fucking 8-minute song with 3 bridges and all kinds of shit going on. So I just sat down in Louisiana night after night and just kept listening and think of other ways to approach this band. And so I went out with these bizarre reconstructions of one of the songs that Wind Up had been trying to arrange for like a year, and they couldn't get anyone to get it right. So I came up with a whole new way to look at it. And I thought, in my mind, I was like, they're not going to do it. It's a fucking band, you know? Like, I'm looking at taking a major turn on this thing. And so we sat down, and they went through, Bathory Sainthood was the name of the song. They went through the song, and then they were like, fuck, that rules. And so they nicknamed me the Butcher, the Swamp Butcher. And so then that started getting back to Alan. He came down and listened to that song. And I remember him sitting there with his eyes closed. And he looked up, and he looked around, and he goes, play that motherfucker again? Literally, verbatim. And he looks at me and says, so, you're the Butcher, huh? And so I finished that record, and then I get a phone call with my wife at the time. Him and Steve Lerner flew me up to New York with my wife and wanted me to be vice president A&R and staff producer, which I said no to because that was advice from Jay Baumgartner and my manager. But in the same meeting, they had the 3 kids from Little Rock, Arkansas, that had been in development for a long time, for a year, and they were waiting on Don Gilmore. And so Alan had this wild idea that they would just can Don Gilmore's idea. You know, Don Gilmore, the Linkin Park producer. And he said, I got a better idea. Called Amy and said, there's a new dude, I want you to use him. And she freaked out, started screaming and hollering, you know, like, you're throwing us to an unknown dude, you know, from Ugly Kid Joe. So Alan tells Amy, you know, just you and Ben fly to New Orleans. I just want you to have dinner with this dude. So they came down to New Orleans, and I threw my spiel on them about arrangements and what I would want to do. And I said, look, you know, another thing is I have the keys to Alan Meltzer's heart right now. And that means you get all the wheels spinning. You have everybody behind the album right away. No more waiting around. And so they loved me, and they liked the ideas I had. So we went in to pre-production less than a month later.
Did you know when you heard Bring Me to Life its potential?
Yeah, I thought it was... I mean, no, but you don't really ever know if something is a smash hit, and I had to rearrange it. I mean, that's not how it always went. You know, it used to go to the bridge every chorus, and I told them, it sounds like we're going to a bridge every time we get finished with a chorus. And they were really receptive. They were young. Amy wasn't even 21 at the time. She was 20. But they were another band that were much like Boy Sets Fire, and they were really receptive to my ideas of how to rearrange the songs and get them to be more impactful. You know, I mean, it's obviously probably my crowning jewel, that album. And Bring Me to Life is obviously my biggest song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it kept the gumbo coming in your personal life for years.
And so there, you know, along the way, we didn't think it would be famous. I mean, you don't really know. I mean, none of us thought like, oh, this is definitely going to be a big hit. You know, what happened was that we had an offer for placement in Daredevil.
Right.
But Bring Me to Life.
Which was a wind-up soundtrack.
Yeah, so everybody's mindset wasn't like, oh, this is going to blow up at radio. Nobody thought that, because it was a goth sort of thing. And back then, that's the 7th graders, everybody kicked by the lockers. It wasn't a famous thing yet. So that placement had us excited. You know, we would always talk, you know, I would sit there and think, oh my God, man, my parents are going to be able to see a song in a movie with my credit at the end of the movie. That's where our minds were. So I went after that thing relentlessly. I mean, and my wife was like, you got to stop playing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over at 6 a.m. I would stay up all fucking night, and I had to be at the studio at 11, you know. But I would be out there just studying it and going over, like, what else can I do to this fucking thing? And then when we finally turned in the first rough mix, I remember Alan Meltzer called me. He's like, Butcher, sound like you went through every fucking bar of that song, like every note, and he fucking loved it, man. And then out of the gate, it had resistance. You know, it wasn't like the first radio guy played it. You know, they went through a number of stations that weren't into it.
Right, because it was a
Took
female voice. It was definitely a male-dominated.
Yep,
I
and it
remember
was
radio,
it was
yeah.
primarily operatic up front. It really is. So that didn't seem like what they should be playing, but all it took was someone to try it.
It
And
didn't
then
seem like it, but in fact, that's exactly why it was what.
Yeah, the uniqueness of it blew it up. And so right there, bang, the first radio station that tried it was overwhelmed with phone calls. And then all of a sudden, we go to Clear Channel Research, and it scored one of the highest scores in the history
Sure.
of the company. Then we knew, wow. And then Jesus, then it took number one at every different rate. I mean, it started to cross-chain on all the radio stations, and I was like, fuck, this is for real, man. And then the album takes off, and I believe held the number one position on Earth for like 12 weeks at one point. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Amazing.
So that, that led me to doing other stuff, man. Mudvayne was next, and then that became gold. 16 weeks at number one, Epic Records, Happy. Remember Happy?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Then you got Slipknot, which I think historically is probably going to be the biggest band I ever did. I mean, I think they already are
That
based
album,
on their
All
live
Hope Is
sales.
Gone is
It's insane, yeah.
It's psychosocial
Yep.
and snuff. I mean, what
All
a
those, yeah.
great record that
Yep.
is.
And that was a hell of a journey, man. Those guys. So my life really changed in this way where, Evanescence, they were a new band. I did not see it coming that I would be brought in to continue careers. Like brought in at album 3 or 4. I mean, that brought in another level of pressure.
Sure.
That really threw me for a loop, and I had to adjust really fast to it. Where you're in pre-pro with people that haven't changed a whole lot of stuff for producers before, and here I am asking them to jump through fucking hoops, and they're like, "Oh, wait, what?"
And you are, yeah.
Yep. And until they get a chance to listen to what I'm talking about, then they go, "Oh, okay." And that happened on not Slipknot. The things that I wanted to do, like to snuff, that was a vision that me and Corey had, and that ballad in itself was an idea of how to build it out. Because it
He
was
always
just
struck me as a very savvy, smart dude.
Oh, he's the greatest. Yeah, I mean, still the easiest vocal takes I've ever done, because he could just run the whole thing down 3 times in a row. And I told him, I said, because it makes some, I always tell people this later on, like, there's a moment when to be a great producer, you need to not do anything at all, And I could have sat there and pretended like I heard a bunch of stuff wrong with it, but I could hear what was right with it, and it was fucking badass. And I'm like, man, I want to be constructively the producer guy, but I said you could use all 3 of these, any one of them. So he would just pick. He'd be like, all right, well, give me verse 1 from this one, whatever he felt at the time, and it didn't matter. They fucking were all badass. I mean, And then those are the songs that he knew all the way through. He would just clobber them out of nowhere, and not any tuning going on or any kind of weird thing like that. Nothing. I mean, it's just this guy just blew it, and his psyche too, his lyrical ability, his mentality as a human, And when I get there, he sang "Goddamn Devil" front to back for me, a cappella. Yeah.
Okay, that's the coolest.
Yeah, him and Joey. When I first got on text with Joey, rest his soul, beautiful bastard. Joey was texting me back. He's all, ALW, track 4, Van Halen Prince. And I'm like, no way did he just fucking type that. I mean, you got to know the album to put the number, what track it is, man. And I was like, holy fuck. And so it turns out when they were, they're younger, a little bit younger than us, so by about 4 or 5 years. Well, that means that when we were 24, they were 19 and 20-year-old kids or dudes that
kids
came
in Iowa with.
Yeah, they came out and
the
saw
record
us.
store,
They saw us play, I think, in Des Moines or something.
That's amazing.
So they were, Joey especially he was a well-studied master of music. I mean, this guy, that's the dude that wrote the riff of Psychosocial. Joey, the drummer, wrote Psychosocial, which, make no fucking mistake about it. Like, that dude, he wrote Duality in his mom's fucking basement, as is, and then Corey put lyrics on top of it. That's how badass that guy was, man.
That song is extraordinary. Of all the stuff you've worked on through the years, and we'll get back to Ugly Kid Joe in a second, I'm surprised that Atom Ship wasn't bigger.
Me too, man. What a cool album that was, man.
Pencil Fight to me was such what a great single, what a great everything, what a cool voice.
Yeah, I really love that band. If only the original, the original singer, Alan Meltzer, back to Wind Up, they signed that band on some demos that I'd done for him. And so then I go on to produce the record. But then Derek Pardo, the singer, the guy that wrote all the stuff, who was really what Alan thought would be almost the new Nirvana, and I mean, Alan was so convinced. And then Derek at the time, I don't think he does anymore, but he had agoraphobia, and he couldn't get on the plane, not even to go to a showcase. So they came up. They liked the music so much that Derek had written that they ended up hiring Joey Culver to be the singer, and that's the one that I recorded.
Oh, wow.
That's not the original guy that was supposed to be there. And so that original dude is a fascinating songwriter. He's a genius. I mean, he's fucking rad. And so no one will ever know what it would have been like with Derek, because it never had a chance to
I'd never
be
heard
seen.
that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, the real guy had agoraphobia, couldn't do it. Couldn't get on the plane.
Yeah, and
go to the
that's
showcase.
a crippling.
It's a crippling thing, yeah, poor guy. But I'm still friends with Derek, and a while back went to his house, hung out, and listened to some songs and stuff. But he has always been a brilliant songwriter. Well, you're right. That fucking album is killer. Even with Joey singing Derek's songs, it's amazing. I really love that one. And it's so tripped out, man. It's a unique record.
All right, back to Rad Wings of Destiny.
Yeah.
It was the latest from Ugly Kid Joe. You're on the road now. Your first tour in 500 years of America. You're in your sweet spot now. I mean, it seems to me it's just full speed ahead. Is that fair to say for the band? Like,
We're open to doing whatever. So we've been doing this now again for 13 years almost, right? 2011, 12 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, full steam, half steam, medium steam, turbo steam, all the steams.
Every steam.
steam cappuccino.
Yeah.
Yeah, with oat milk.
Steam, Nana, Hey Hey, Kissing Goodbye.
The rules.
Steamship tour.
Steampunk.
Steam.
Yeah, man.
Esteemed. No.
All right, when the interview turns to wordplay, it's time to call an end to it. Ugly Kid Joe, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for
Thank
eating
you.
your
Man.
Vietnamese.
Wow, this is a great podcast.
Thank you for
I
dinner.
love it.